It was a sunny Saturday, and the city park in Kurba was full of life. Lucas, 16 years old, was playing soccer with his friends at the public court in the park. They were focused on the game, laughing and enjoying the afternoon when suddenly a plainclothes police officer wearing a dark t-shirt and jeans started watching the group from a distance. The officer noticed Lucas and with a suspicious expression walked toward him. "Hey, you, the officer," shouted, pointing directly at Lucas. Lucas stopped what he was doing, confused and startled. "Yes, officer," he asked, still not understanding. The reason for the approach, the officer moved closer, looking irritated. "You're up to something here, aren't you?" the officer said aggressively, without even explaining the reason for the stop. "No, sir. We're just playing soccer," Lucas replied, trying to stay calm. The officer didn't accept the explanation and began to push Lucas against the fence of the court, looking for something to accuse him of. Meanwhile, Helena, Lucas's mother, was coming back from the market. She saw the scene from a distance and, realizing what was happening, quickened her pace to get closer. "What's going on here?" Helena shouted with a firm voice, approaching the officer. The officer, seeing Helena coming, tried to divert attention from Lucas, but it was too late. "My son hasn't done anything," Helena said, visibly angry. The officer tried to justify himself vaguely. "He was acting suspiciously." "That's a lie," Helena replied, furious. "He hasn't done anything." She quickly took out her phone and started recording the scene, showing the officer that he was no longer in control of the situation. "I'm going to report this," Helena said firmly, while filming. The tension increased with some people passing by the park, starting to stop and watch, curious about what was happening. It was then that Carlos, Helena's brother, a police officer with years of service, appeared. He had just finished his shift and was heading home when he saw the commotion. Realizing what was happening, he ran to the scene quickly. "Hey, what's going on here?" Carlos asked with an authoritative voice, approaching the officer. The officer tried to speak, but Carlos didn't let him finish. "You're abusing your authority. This is abuse of power." Carlos showed his police identification and firmly said, "You're under arrest for abuse of authority and harassment." The officer was left speechless. He knew he couldn't escape this situation. Carlos then handcuffed the officer in front of the crowd that was beginning to gather around. "You won't intimidate my nephew or anyone else anymore," Carlos said, looking firmly at the officer as he led him to the police car. Helena looked at Lucas, who was now safe, and smiled with relief. Justice was being done at that very moment.